again. Welcome to our Wednesday. The week is going quick, folks. This segment of our program is being brought to you by the Suffolk County Police Benevolent Association. That's right, folks. The PBA serves to support law enforcement, participate in special events and programs, all designed to help and protect our community. They care about you and keeping us all safe. From the anti-drinking and driving campaigns to protecting our children with education on the Megan's Law. PBA promotes a great relationship between the police and the people it's sworn to serve. Suffolk County is one of the safest counties in the country, and the PBA takes pride in its strong belief in our security. They have honored our fallen heroes and contribute greatly to our suburban way of life. Need to know more? Go right to that website, www.suffolkcountypba.org. Noel DiGirolamo, president. 1 o'clock hour, we've got Rich Christ coming up, talk about some local politics. We'll be taking your phone calls, actually twice today, at the 12:35 hour and also at the 1:35. We have a lot to talk about. Ken had to get on a little early today. Ken Bombay, as you know, he's one of our regular contributors on Wednesday. Very busy guy with all of what Ken does. Quite the resume. So we got Ken calling in a little early today. Just to go over just a couple of things that are happening. Ken, how are you, my friend?
Good, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, always a pleasure. I wish we had more time. There is some breaking news. I heard now there's 20 sheriff's deputy recruits, apparently, that were run over. I don't have much more than that. You and I had texted earlier today. We thought it was 11. I understand now it's up to 20. What do you hear? This is a terrible, terrible incident. Breaking news out of L.A.
Yeah, it's tragic. I mean, both of us know, having gone through an academy. I went through the academy twice. And what a tragedy. And I think right now it's a developing story. So the big question is obviously, is this intentional? Somebody targeted these recruits, which again would be tragic, and is going to raise security concerns around the country for all police departments. But I guess we're going to get more details as it comes in. Either way, at a minimum, I heard some of the people are critical. So this is a horrible story to hear today.
I mean, we always do our conjecture and say, well, how does that happen? It was, I think it occurred about 6:30 in the morning, California time. The recruits get there early, and in some cases, those are live-in academies like New York State has for the state police. And as you know, PT, physical fitness, physical training is a key component of training our police officers. They want officers in good shape. So I believe they were out jogging on a public road. Now, a good number of people jogging on the side of the road wearing, I would assume, some sort of a recruit training outfit, it'd be very difficult to not see them and not to essentially realize what was. I mean, I know I'm making a feeling that it was intentional, and I shouldn't say that, but I can't think of anything else. Ken, what does your expertise tell you?
Yeah. I would suggest the same thing at this point, that we'd be leaning towards that they were targeted. Can it happen in this age? Could someone be on the phone? I guess so. If you're going and there's a platoon of recruits, it only takes a slight veering to hit 20 people. But right now at this point, I would say that I hate to say it sounds like it might be a targeted event. And my sort of second home is California. We have an office in L.A., and I have a lot of employees that have worked for the LAPD and the Los Angeles Sheriff's Office. So this hits home a little bit for us when we heard this morning. And I'll tell you, Tom, like I mentioned, I went through the Suffolk Police Academy twice. And the first time, it was during an interim when the academy was still being established, the new one.
Right.
So we went through a school, and we would run in public roads every day.
Yes, I remember that.
So this is a thing that could happen, and it's what a tragedy that people so young starting off careers to help people to be for this incident to have taken place. I'm imagining we're going to have someone was detained, obviously, so I'm imagining we're going to get some developments as soon as, close of business today. We should know more.
Yeah, if I remember it, I think we probably went to the same location. It was a school in the Babylon School District that was no longer being used, and we used it as the academy. I'm assuming that's the one that you went to also. And you're right. You would go out on the street. You would jog out on the street. You would exercise and so on. So we'll find out more. It looks like we're going to start talking about 2024 already, and I knew we would. I know the election is only 8 days old, they're still counting. It's still post-election analysis. They're still counting. They haven't declared the Republicans the majority party yet in the House, but they will, and that'll come within a day or two. Finally. But 2024 has begun. One announced candidate last night, one Donald J. Trump. I don't know if you got a chance to see the speech or someone, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I know this has been highly controversial. People have been anticipating he's going to announce pretty early, like now. And one thing I'll say, Tom, is I think that his speech was pretty good. I think his speech came across well. It targeted many of the issues that people are concerned about. But at the same time, if you watch the news circuits, I think it's going to be a bigger crowd for the primaries. It's sounding like Mike Pence might run. Obviously, we're all anticipating Ron DeSantis running. So I think people are going to have choices. It's not just going to be the Trump show this time, but it'll be definitely interesting because he has a strong following. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops right now.
Yeah, and I would add Mike Pompeo. He's on the list because he's already shown interest, and Chris Christie. So now you're looking at least starting out of the gate between Christie and Pompeo and DeSantis and the former Vice President Mike Pence. That's 4. You include Trump. So it seems interesting enough, and I'm certainly not opposed to the competition, that there would be 5. Now, the last time there was 17. If you remember, the last time it was contested 4 years ago, it was not contested because there was an incumbent president. And Trump did phenomenal against 17. I think he got like 49% of the total Republican vote by himself, and then the rest split up the other 51%. That's a pretty incredible win.
It is. It is an incredible win. And I'll tell you, my firm, Global Threat Solutions, we were contracted to do security for many Democratic presidential candidate events last campaign. And in the beginning of them, we did many of them, but in the beginning, we had, I think, 22 candidates that were at these events. So as far as I'm concerned, in a democracy, that's great. I think it's great. Yeah. Let's have a primary. Let's have people argue the issues and see who comes out on top. It's all part of our system right now. And to go a little bit more into the midterms, Tom, I know that there's people on the right who are obviously disappointed. They thought there was this massive red wave coming that never really materialized. However, what we do have is a split Congress right now, right, where it looks like we're going to have a slim majority, Democrat Senate and Republican Congress. But this is good, and this is what historically happens in the midterms, is that Americans don't like all the power with one side. So usually in the midterms, you'll see the other party take control of Congress. And even with Republicans just controlling the House, it mitigates a little bit, and it puts a check in place so that it's not one party rule. And I think that's a good thing. And we'll see what happens with the presidential election. But it's started already. We talked about it last week. The campaign has started.
Yes, yeah, and interesting enough, I was kind of a little, I don't know if he should do this again, but after watching him last night, I'm still going to stay neutral because I always am. But he actually was pretty good last night. I agree with you. He kept to his message, and he sounded, and people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but he actually sounded like a president. What do you think, Ken? Yeah,
it was a good speech, and I've heard this from, I track these things as you do. And I heard good feedback, really positive feedback for his speech. But as we know, it was very contentious when he was president and even following that. And, I think you look at the Republicans right now, many people they want what's good for America right now, not necessarily what's good for Donald Trump. Or some people feel like he needs to be avenged, and that shouldn't be the way. Me personally, I want what's good for America right now.
Right.
So the best candidate that comes out on top, and the one that I believe with the policies and can get us to some type of a working relationship in this in Congress and with the president, that's the one that I want right now. This is a critical time. There's no time for games right now with the threats we face overseas, domestically, the border, the economy. We need who's going to get the job done right now. That's all I care about.
We believe it or not, we don't have a lot of time, about a minute left. It looks like Poland is essentially saying that they're not holding Russia responsible, even though they were Russian-made missiles. Give us a quick synopsis on that.
Yeah, so what it turns out to be, although they're Russian-made missiles, there's some feelings that this could it be Ukrainian air defense missiles that were fired against Russian missiles, and fragments or missiles actually went into Polish territory. So, it's interesting, Tom, since the very beginning of this conflict. I've been on the radio since the beginning. And we always talked about this, because President Biden at the time says, well, Ukraine's not a NATO member. So there is no, we're not going to evoke Article 5 over this. We'll support them in the way that we're supporting them. So we've always debated what's going to happen. What happens if a missile goes into a NATO country? Are we immediately going to be, spinning up the warplanes, or is there going to be like we see now? They evoked Article 4, which is basically a time where they're going to the NATO leaders come together to discuss the issue. It's like the starting point for evoking Article 5. So I don't think you're ever going to see that. Even if it was worse than this incident, more people died, I don't think anyone in NATO is ready to jump into a conflict with Russia without crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And that's what we're seeing right now. Plus, it seems that the U.S. and Poland think that this was not Russia.
Once again, Ken, thank you for a shortened version. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. When we get back, let's take some phone calls. Trump announcement, a lot going on. 631-451-1039 when we get back.